Thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's such an honor to have such distinguished witnesses today, so thank you so much for coming in. I don't normally do this, but I brought in a nice bottle of Australian wine. Ever since China banned it in 2020 for Australia calling for a COVID investigation, this wine has been called Freedom Wine. And Prime Minister Morrison, you helped Australia sell a lot of Freedom Wine, right?
I remember Secretary Pompeo sent me a picture with a very similar bottle at the time. And yeah, look, at some point, China was going to tire of drinking Wuhan Pinot, I think, and was going to go back to the better product.
Well, what's really fascinating about this is that Taiwan actually coined the term freedom wine. Yeah. And what's fascinating is that when you and I visited Taiwan last year, they served freedom wine at the lunch. And that goes to what the ambassador was talking about, which is when friends and partners band together, they can fight bans by China. And so what's also interesting is that I also brought something else, freedom pineapple cakes, made by what in Taiwan are called freedom pineapples. This is because after CCP banned Australian wine, you guessed it, they banned Taiwan's pineapples. And Ambassador Emmanuel, after this ban in Japan, sales of Taiwan's pineapples went bananas, right?
I am waiting for you to hold up some Chicago 312 beer.
It's coming. Unfortunately, Ambassador, Japan was the next target, and you alluded to this because after Japan attended a 2023 summit with the US and South Korea here at Camp David, which you attended, China banned all Japanese seafood, citing food safety concerns. But Mr. Ambassador, here are some pictures of you. Judging by
there goes our friendship on 2 of these out of 3 photos.
Judging by these photos, Ambassador, I think you believe that those allegations of safety concerns were completely fabricated, right? It was complete fabrication because they were just simply trying to hurt. They were trying to hurt the Japanese for doing the right thing. In my opening remarks, I alluded to this man, Liu Xiaobo, one of China's champions of democracy who won the Nobel Peace Prize while in prison in China. And in response, the CCP cut ties with Norway, where the Nobel Committee is based, and banned Norway's salmon. There seems to be a trend here. Norway's response to the CCP was this. Norway said, Norway attaches high importance to China's core interests and will not support actions that undermine them and will do its best to avoid any future damage to bilateral relations. Now, Ambassador, to me, that's not an apology, that's groveling, wouldn't you say?
Yes, Mr.
I think that Prime Minister Morrison, this is what Beijing wanted you to do after you called for an investigation into COVID. I want to turn to my next topic. In my opening, I mentioned that China dominates rare earths. In contrast, we only have 1 rare earth mine in the entire U.S. It's owned by MP Materials, which just recently received nearly $500 million of investments from DoD. This deal will, 1, allow MP to make more magnets, these things which I talked about earlier, and 2, create a 10-year guarantee that DoD will buy MP's rare earths at a floor price, ensuring that MP and hopefully others can compete. Now, Mr. Ambassador, it feels like the administration and the private sector need to do more of this with regard to going all in and creating our own resilient supply chain domestically. What do you think?
Mr. Ranking Member, what I would say is 2 things. Yes, the short answer is yes. I have advocated this before, and I think we as a country, and the National Security Council does this, they issue at the beginning of every term, a strategic review of the challenges. I think the National Economic Council inside the White House should do the same on economic both opportunities and vulnerabilities, and then be able to then lay out a blueprint how to, A, ameliorate or reduce your vulnerabilities, and how to accentuate your strengths. And I would note, if I could, in almost every instance, Japan, in the case of both the Philippines, Australia. One of China's great vulnerabilities is food. They target other countries' food. That is a strategic opportunity, given their psychological and economic vulnerability as it relates to sourcing food product for 1.5 billion people.
If I might ask one final question. This image from the American Revolution is the join or die image. This was used to rally the 13 colonies to fight back together against British tyranny. We've updated it into this new graphic, which I think builds upon what Ambassador Emanuel was talking about, which is join or die. Today, America and our friends, Australia, Taiwan, Japan, and others, are like the divided parts of the snake, and if we operate together, we can fight Chinese coercion. And I think, you know, Ambassador Emanuel, this is what you were referring to in your Article 5 comments about fighting together against Japanese coercion rather than fighting alone, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, and I yield back.